Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for another true tale from the Tell Me a Story series presented by Open Door Theater. We hope you enjoy this story written and read by Debbie Jamieson.
Hi, I'm Debbie Jamieson, and I'd like to tell you a story. I started out as a child. Well, at least that's what they tell me. I do have some baby pictures that seem to confirm this, but when you're an adopted child, you're never really certain where the beginning began. When you are adopted, the veil comes down, and there's no past, only the future. This is something, whether they know it or not, that most people just take for granted if they were born into their biological families. It's a sense of belonging to something bigger than themselves, a heritage. The importance of knowing who you are can never be underestimated, for it is said that to understand the present and the future, you must understand the past. I had the typical childhood and family experiences with a wonderful mom and dad, and a brother, 2 sisters, and a doting grandmother. I was told about my adoption from as early as I can remember. It wasn't something that I felt ashamed of, but I always felt just a little bit different. Not unloved, just different. Some adopted children never have the urge to find their biological parents, but I always did. When I was 23 years old, shortly after the birth of my first child, I decided that I needed to begin my search in earnest. There was just something about being a mother myself and seeing my daughter for the first time that made me realize that I was holding in my arms the only true blood relative that I had ever known. At that time, there was a group called Truth Seekers in Adoption in the Chicagoland area. This group helped to connect adoptees with their birth parents and help birth parents to find the now adult children that they had given up for adoption. Of course, that was only done if the meetings were desired by both, and no one under the age of 18 was allowed to search without their parental permission and guidance. At my first meeting, I was thrilled to actually meet other adoptees who felt the way I did. There was an instant bonding, as though we were all related in some way. Being adopted is nothing to be embarrassed about. Yet sometimes when you tell people that you were adopted, they have the strangest reactions, saying something like, "I never would have guessed you were adopted." I'm never quite sure what that means, because I'm not sure what an adopted person might look like or how they might act that would tip you off. Unlike Hester in The Scarlet Letter, I've never worn a patch with the letter A for adoptee. My first step in my search was to ask my adoptive parents for any information that they might have related to my adoption. My sisters were very upset and thought that I would ask my parents to do this and they would feel like I didn't love them. But I knew that they loved me and that my desire to search had no bearing on my love for them. My parents were great about it and gave me everything they had, which turned out to be quite a lot. The search took about a total of 4 months. There were no personal computers back then. And in the spring of 1979, I knew I had found the right person. I also found that I had a half-brother and sister who were 8 and 11 years old at the time of my birth. I sent a letter to this woman explaining that I believed she was my birth mother. However, getting her to admit that was another story. She did not respond to the letter at first, but being the bold and brave young woman that I was, I decided that this was not good enough, and that I would have to meet her face to face. Certainly she couldn't deny me after that. I flew to San Francisco and went to her workplace. Upon my first glimpse of her, I had an extreme sense of déjà vu, but didn't necessarily see any physical similarities. She remained calm and poised, asking me into her office and continuing to deny that she could have been my birth mother. I left our meeting feeling bewildered and confused, but was certain that my facts were correct. I had the right person. About a month passed, and I decided to send her another letter. This time I was more forceful and told her that all I wanted was a confirmation of the fact that she was my birth mother, along with a bit of medical and family history. I did not want to disrupt her life in any other way if she chose not to make me a part of it. After this letter, I received a phone call. She had realized that I was serious about finding out about my heritage and finally admitted that yes, she was my birth mother. She subsequently wrote me a short letter telling me a bit about some medical concerns, her likes and dislikes, and then asked me never to contact her again. I agreed. I also agreed never to contact my half-brother and sister, who she said knew nothing about me. But that's another story. It wasn't until a few months later, while looking in the mirror one morning, that I saw the reflection of the woman that was my birth mother. Although the end of this chapter in my life was not what I'd hoped for, I would do it all over again. Until my search, I never felt like I had a beginning or a past. They say that humans have memories of things that occur even while in utero. Finding my birth mother gave me the chance to connect my earliest memories to something very tangible. A piece of the puzzle had been found and placed in its proper perspective. I started out as a child. Although my birth mother and I did not establish a relationship, I did claim part of my birthright, the right to know who I am. I hope that this chapter in my life might inspire all of you to dig a little deeper into your own lives, to search and to find out just who you are, where you've come from, and where you are going.